Hello my fellow coffee drinkers. Today we have one story about family drama. Title: My sister has been lying about our family to her friends for years. I'm not the best at explaining things, so bear with me. 3 years ago, when I was 12, my older sister Leah, who was then 17, changed overnight. Previously a sweet and reliable sister, she became snappy and distant, locking herself away in her room and shirking her chores. My brother, who was 21 and busy with his own life, didn't notice much, and initially, my parents dismissed her behavior as typical teenage moodiness. One night, Leah burst out of her room in tears and revealed she is bisexual. My family, including my gay brother, were all supportive, though I didn't fully understand until my parents explained it to me. After coming out, Leah's attitude improved. She was nicer, though she didn't spend much time with me anymore. Fast forward to now, Leah and I had become close again, or so I thought. But I noticed her friends were standoffish toward my family, making rude remarks and rolling their eyes when they visited, which wasn't often. The reason for their behavior became clear recently. While I was watching anime, my phone lit up with messages from a new group chat on Instagram, created by Leah's friends. They accused me of being homophobic, spoiled, and abusive toward Leah. Confused, I confronted them, and they shared screenshots of conversations with Leah that painted a wildly distorted picture of our family life. Leah had told them that our parents were homophobic and planning to kick her out when she turned 18 because of her sexuality. She claimed I was the favored child, pampered and cruel, responsible for physical and verbal abuse against her, with our parents' encouragement. She also said she was forced to handle all the chores and falsely accused me of making fun of her for having autism, which is ironic because I'm the one with autism. Shocked and hurt by these revelations, I shared photos from pride festivals and family gatherings to debunk her stories. Her friends were angry but agreed to hold off on any actions until I figured out how to handle this. Apparently, Leah planned to cut all contact with us once she turned 18. Recently, Leah accused me of sabotaging a new relationship by contacting a guy she liked, which her friends claimed was the last straw for them. Right now, I'm overwhelmed with shock, hurt, and anger. I don't understand why Leah would fabricate such tales. Is it for attention? I'm not sure how to proceed. Update. I spent most of last night reading your comments and, frankly, I couldn't sleep much, only about 2 hours. Following the clear consensus from your advice, I took screenshots of everything, including the messages from the group chat the night before. I spoke to my dad first as he gets home earlier than my mom, and my sister was at her part-time job. As expected, he was furious, shocked, and hurt. It was tough to see, especially since he apologized for the burden falling on me to bring this to light. When my mom came home, my dad wanted to speak with her privately, so I retreated to my room. Unexpectedly, I overheard them arguing intensely. I later learned that my mom knew about Leah's fabrications 5 months ago but kept it from my dad. She had made Leah promise to stop, naively trusting she would. The situation escalated when Leah came home. There was a lot of screaming. Leah was visibly upset, even threatening herself and screaming threats towards me, which was terrifying. I stayed in my room, fearing to step out. My dad was upset that my mom had concealed this from him, arguing that Leah needed professional mental health support, a sentiment echoed by many of you. Despite my mom's pleas, my dad insisted on taking Leah to the hospital, and she's been there since. Currently, my dad and I are staying with my grandparents. He's not speaking to my mom and has made it clear that if she attempts to remove Leah from the hospital, their marriage is over. I've also spoken to my brother, who is concerned but supportive. My dad and I have had several deep conversations. He's apologized for everything, although I don't blame him at all. If anything, I feel worse about the whole ordeal. We're doing okay, and he's advised me to focus on school and just being a kid, which I'm trying to do. Second update. I recently had a much-needed break, catching a movie and having dinner with my brother and his boyfriend, along with my dad. It was a fun distraction, especially with New Year's celebrations at my dad's side of the family. I haven't shared much with friends as this feels like a family matter, but their support has been comforting. Now, for an update on Leah. She was due to be discharged on the 1st but ended up coming home on the 5th. Currently, she's with our mom. I discussed with my dad that I'm not ready to go home yet, especially not ready to face Leah and mom. He understood and returned home alone, while I stayed with my grandparents, who were more than happy to have me. Leah's adjustment has been rough. She was quiet her first day, mostly sleeping, and had a tougher second day, frustrated about losing some privileges. My mom tried to contest this with my dad but eventually gave up, given the tension between them. My mom messaged me, upset that I wasn't ready to speak with Leah, insisting that Leah needed support in her current state. Leah has been diagnosed with depression and anxiety and is on medication. My dad has kept her therapist in the loop about recent events. He also discovered a troubling chat on Leah's phone where she and her friends were harassing a schoolmate. Leah admitted that her fabrications were for attention and sympathy, though I'm skeptical about her sincerity. Despite my doubts, my dad thinks I might benefit from therapy too, so I'm open to it. A major issue remains, my mom's handling of Leah. She tries to enforce rules, but ends up yielding whenever Leah becomes emotional, which frustrates my dad. This manipulative dynamic between them is troubling. As school resumes, I'm concerned about potential drama, especially since Leah is now quite isolated. Some suggest she might spin stories with teachers or counselors. Regardless, it seems an eventual meeting involving Leah, my parents, her former friends, their parents, and the harassed girl might be necessary. I've made it clear, despite others' opinions, that I'm not ready to forgive Leah. Her actions over the past 3 years were harmful and deliberate, and it will take a long time to rebuild any trust. The biggest strain is now between my mom and dad. My dad was committed to resolving their issues, even considering counseling, but recent discoveries and ongoing disputes over handling Leah's situation have deepened the rift. My dad has found out something significant that my mom kept hidden, which has left him heartbroken, and he's no longer interested in mending their marriage. For now, the situation at home is complex, with my dad staying to ensure Leah isn't left alone with mom until legal aspects are sorted. I'm staying with my grandparents for the foreseeable future. I'm focusing on supporting my dad, who's been my rock through this. It's tough, but we're getting through it together. Final update. So, things have worsened. Starting with my parents, they're only speaking through attorneys now. My mom can't manage to be civil around my dad in person. I mentioned in a comment before, but yes, it's confirmed my mother had an affair, which started almost a year ago. Leah didn't know about it, and it's unclear if this was my mother's only affair. Leah's situation has deteriorated. Against the agreements made, my mom gave Leah her phone back along with other privileges. My dad, no longer surprised by these developments, turned her phone service off since he pays for all our phones. He's also planning to remove my mom and sister from the family plan. Leah returned to school, but it turned out as I expected, and she's now doing school from home. I had previously mentioned finding a disturbing chat on Leah's phone involving severe bullying. This led to a school intervention. Without delving into the specific details, a meeting with the school resulted in Leah and her former friends being expelled. Their justification for their actions was feeble, and Leah's was simply, "She was a bitch to me." Plans to enroll Leah in an alternative school were scrapped because her ex-friends, also attending that school, threatened her. Thus, Leah is now studying from home. I reached out to Claire, the girl they bullied, to apologize and express that we had no idea about the bullying. Claire is genuinely kind, and thankfully, she's doing okay and has good support and therapy. Leah has quit therapy and her medications, adopting a harsh attitude toward everyone, except when manipulating my mom for favors. Leah and I eventually exchanged texts. She blamed me for the family's issues, claiming it all could have been avoided if I had approached her before exposing the screenshots. My dad considered fighting for primary custody, but given Leah's age and the complexities involved, he might not pursue it. He loves her but doesn't like who she's become. He's open to supporting her if she shows genuine remorse and a desire to improve. As for my mom and me, we aren't on speaking terms after a heated phone call where she labeled me as a brat for not wanting to return home. For now, I'm staying with my dad, and we've both been attending therapy, which helps keep things lighter. Thanks for all the support and kind comments. I've shown them to my dad, and he's grateful for the encouragement from this community.